in the LCS intervention. It was 2017, and I was on the set of the action movie Take Point. The production team had flown an American C-list actress, Jennifer Ellie, to play the lead CIA operative, and I was assisting her in a small role as one of her right-hand men. The scene was simple. I was to block the door of an opposing law enforcement agency trying to break up our operation. You know, just another Tuesday in paradise. Cut! What the hell was that? The director barked, slamming the brakes on her 12th miserable take. I was still in character when my agent appeared beside me. His face was the color of an old newspaper. The police are here, he said. I barely looked up from my phone. Yeah, I know. I'm supposed to block the door. No, his voice dropped. The real police are here. Are you a drug dealer? I stared at him like he just told me the moon was made of cheese. What the hell are you talking about? That's when I saw them. Five undercover detectives materialized from the production crowd like they'd been hiding in plain sight the whole time, which, as it turned out, they probably had been. The head detective stepped forward, didn't say a word, and simply held up a cell phone with English text. You have the right to remain silent. You are under arrest for dealing drugs. My first thought was, where the hell are the hidden cameras? But when the cuffs clicked and they wrapped me in a rope like some kind of package before shoving me into the back of an unmarked van, I knew this wasn't a prank show unfolding. The beating and yelling started immediately. All the blood deserted my face completely, and I began experiencing that weird psychological trick where your brain decides reality is just too messed up to process. So it just doesn't. This can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be real. They took me to my hotel room, where they already knew my door number, and raided my belongings. They hit and threatened me more, put me in the back of the van again, and drove to my apartment. To make matters worse, just 3 days prior, I'd walked into one of Seoul's most prestigious dental clinics to become their white face, their Western poster boy to attract dental tourists seeking perfect Korean smiles. My slightly crooked teeth were costing me a certain high-end modeling gigs left and right, and my ego couldn't tolerate that level of imperfection. So when they offered me free pearly crowns in exchange for being their marketing guinea pig, I jumped at the chance. They'd butchered 12 healthy teeth, performed 12 unnecessary root canals, and installed a soft resin temporary crowns that were meant to last maybe a week while they crafted my perfect new teeth in the lab. The van was a suffocating coffin of terror, and my jaw clenched so fiercely that one of the weak crowns broke loose, and I spat out a white fragment into my palm. The detective sitting next to me looked down at my hand and slowly looked up at me, eyes staring straight through me. His face broke into a victorious grin. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Methamphetamine. No, no, no. I just remained silent and started literally pinching myself to wake up from the nightmare. This can't be real. When we arrived at my apartment, they knew the key code already to get in. Inside, they trashed and raided my entire place, just as you see in the movies, looking for drugs that didn't exist. It began to dawn on me what was going on. Months prior, I had broken up with my Korean girlfriend, and not long after, she had texted me, "You ruined my life, now I'm going to ruin your world." In Korea, they can GPS track your phone and arrest anyone based on an anonymous tip. No lawyer, no phone call. And with their convenient 95% confession rate, if you're arrested for anything, they'll break you down until you admit something. There's also a widespread belief that celebrity scandals are strategically released whenever the government needs to distract from its latest screw ups. A political scandal breaks. A celebrity suddenly gets arrested for drugs. The media goes crazy over the celebrity story, and everyone forgets about the corruption. They call it girugi, throw the press a bone. Drug arrests work especially well because Korea treats drug use like it's worse than murder, often handing out sentences longer than rapists get. I knew this, and worst of all, my ex knew it too. This was her revenge. I felt sick and started to lose consciousness. The raid felt like a slow motion demolition of my life. They ripped paintings from the walls, dumped every container of food into the sink, and violently tore into couch cushions. Finding nothing only stoked their fury, turning the room into a powder keg ready to be blown. Then the translator showed up, acting like she was some neutral party. She was basically their accomplice. Just give them something, she whispered, like she was doing me a favor. I've done this a million times. Say anything and they'll let you go. When I refused to play their game, they dropped the pretense entirely. Say where drugs are, or we kill dog, one detective said to me in not so good Korean English with a stone cold stare into my eyes. Just like that, my dog's life for a confession to a crime I didn't commit. What a beautiful system. 2 days of interrogation in a concrete box followed. Just me and some very angry people who needed you to be guilty of something, anything, to justify all the time and resources they'd spent on this investigation. It was damp, dirty, rustic, and extremely cold. With no bed, I was given only a small pillow to sleep on the ground. The meals were as cold as the room. The shower was a small pipe that emerged from the wall that pissed a single, tiny stream of freezing water out of it. They would wake me up anytime I started to fall asleep by banging on the cell bars, and yelling into my cell. They were trying to break me in every way they legally could, and it was working. I was frightened beyond comprehension and with no clue as to how long I was going to be in there. The only right I had was a visit from the U.S. Embassy officials, a right I was told very reluctantly by the head detective, as if he hated the fact that he had to reveal it to me. On my second day, the embassy sent 3 young Korean women who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else and delivered the most terrifying sentence I'd ever heard. There's nothing we can do. They gave me a pamphlet titled What to Do If Arrested in Korea, which was 4 pages telling me to confess or wait up to a year in jail before my court date would arrive and I could defend myself. In the end, desperation broke me like it breaks everyone. I fabricated an elaborate story about taking a THC gummy at a festival. Ah, I knew it! The head detective yelled in Korean from the small interrogation office, shoving his pointed finger in my face. You a liar! They released me on the 3rd day, but kept my phone after asking me to unlock it so they could search through my messages to find potential communication with drug dealers or clients. Slapped a ban on my passport to prevent me from fleeing the country, and left me to anxiously wait for 4 months to find out if I was going to prison for up to 7 years. 4 months of limbo. 4 months of not knowing if my life was over or just mostly over. During that time, the dentist placed my final crowns in, and they hurt like hell. The same crowns that were supposed to make me more marketable now felt like torture devices. Multiple visits and nothing helped. My mouth had become a constant reminder of how spectacularly screwed my life was. When the letter finally came in the mail stating that the charges were dropped, I fell to the ground under the mailbox and wept like someone who'd survived a car crash that left everyone else in the wreckage behind. I gave all my belongings away to an aspiring actor friend and left the next day with just a suitcase and Eddy. The dream was over. In Korean entertainment, unlike Hollywood, there are no comeback stories. When you're done, you're done. The credits roll and everyone moves on. My career was over. All I had left was a severe anxiety disorder, PTSD, and 12 extremely painful crowns that turned eating into agony. I was headed back to the only place I could go, my old Kentucky home, the place I'd worked so hard to escape. To make matters worse, upon arriving back stateside, I checked my Korean bank account to withdraw my life savings because it would look suspicious as hell to board a plane with all your money in cash. Only criminals do that, right? It was blocked, frozen solid. I called the bank. They said there was a ban on my funds and I needed to come in person to get it out. That same day, I got an email from someone claiming to be a defense lawyer assigned to my case. He said, "We still need you to come back for a court date and a trial. You need to apologize to the judge for what you did." Like I was going to fly back to some kangaroo court nightmare and face more trumped up charges just to potentially get access to my own money. It smelled like another ruse, and I wasn't biting. This was it. I'm here now. I was now staring down an uncertain future during a cold, dark winter, living in my childhood bedroom in my parents' small house with no career, no network to tap into, no women, nothing worth posting on Instagram, and a litany of mental health issues and a mouthful of ungodly pain and $1,500 to my name. I was screwed.